So what is the Betty Rumble VW project about? Effectively, it is a channel about the preservation and maintenance of this car right here, the 1968 Volkswagen Beetle. And it's just a collection of videos and odds and ends related to the preservation and maintenance of this car. She's a late 68 car that I acquired off of Facebook, and I'll get to that in a second. I'm a 56-year-old standard issue American male with a bachelor's in philosophy, a master's in national security, and a former aerospace ground equipment mechanic for the United States Air Force, where I had served for about 24 years or so. And in that career field, which is really good for working on cars like this, it was a jack of all trades career field. We worked on electrical power generation, Bomblifts, and other associated equipment, everything from small and mid-sized gasoline engines, six-cylinder inline and V8 Detroit diesel engines, hydraulic systems, hydrostatic systems, hydraulic systems, as well as small two-stage jet turbine engines for electrical power. And we could effectively IC a microchip onto a circuit board or replace a ceiling fan. I mean, it's a wide variety of things. You never quite focus enough on one. We were very well suited to tackle a multitude of different applications. I've often joked and said that they should not waste time on training pilots to go into space. They need to just give a couple of wrenches and tools to some age mechanics, blast their asses up there. They can fix whatever you need fixed and then bring them right back down. And it'll get done. It'll get done. And that's what an age mechanic is, a guy who can get a lot of things done. And so when I got this car, I felt that I was very well suited for taking care of it. One thing I can't do is weld, though. I wish I could weld. I can solder, but I certainly can't weld, at least not yet. So where did I get the car? Well, I had about $13,000 left over in education money from completing my master's and nothing to do with it. And I had no classic car to work on. I've had cars in the past. I had a 74 Lincoln at one time. I had a 73 Ranchero, which was my most recent car. But I had nothing. And scouring the secondary market for used cars is a lesson in futility. It really is. The market prices on vehicles are so overblown thanks to what I call the Barrett-Jackson effect. Thank you, Barrett-Jackson, for blowing up all this stuff, because now average dudes cannot just go out and go buy a car. A wreck of a Mustang would run at least $5,000, and that's if it was on fire and burned up. One that's not burned up, that's just no glass, no engine, no motor, just the frame, could cost you $7,000 or more if it's in decent shape. So really, buying a drivable, or at least close to drivable, used classic antique muscle car was just out of the question for me. So I turned to Volkswagens. I knew nothing about them, but I figured there's got to be something out there in which parts are relatively cheap by comparison and available. And so I had seen some Volkswagens over the years. As I said, didn't know anything about them, and I took a shot at it. Looked around Facebook, and this was the very first car that I found that was drivable. Even those were difficult to swallow the price on when some of them were wrecks, or if some of them were like over customized, not what I was looking for. So here, this is the car that I ended up getting. And so I talked to the owner, we made a deal on it, and the car came in, and then I got to actually look at it. Now, admittedly, I bought this sight unseen. It was just off of pictures and just some Q&A. But when a car got here, it was completely undrivable. I mean, the brakes were completely gone. They were four-wheel drums, no brake pads whatsoever. The electrical system's completely shot. You turn on a switch, some other component would flash, but it had LEDs wired into the chassis and engine bay. Thanks, previous owner. That was awesome, because despite the fact that everything else in this car was shit, you managed to get LEDs wired up in the car, and they worked pretty well. Nevertheless, they got stripped out when I began to do work. So I set upon doing a four-wheel disc conversion to get rid of all the drum stuff, just completely redo it, beefed up master cylinder, the whole bit, relined it, the whole deal, and then completely replaced every single wire from one side of the car to the other. Maybe a couple switches, emergency switch that I can think of, and the wiper switch are the emergency flasher switch, and the wiper switch were the only two switches that did not get replaced. Everything else, and the starter solenoid, that stayed, and the ignition switch in the dash or in the column, but everything else has been replaced. from one end to the other. If it needed it to start the engine up or any other wiring going to that, it was all pulled through and redone completely with brand new, fresh stuff. And so now it's completely drivable. But the reason I made the channel, well, that thing right there decided to blow one day. It cracked a cylinder, and I'll do a video later about it. It cracked the head, blew it out. Well, you've seen the video probably already of Betty has a heart attack, but I'll show you the parts because I still have them. I'll go ahead and film those. But nevertheless, that engine completely failed, and I set about fixing it starting in February of this year, February or March of this year, 2024. And I've just now completed it contingent upon those other videos. It's not done, meaning it's got to go in, of course, which will happen this week. And I know that carburetor there is junk. I'm still having some idling issues, even though I say in those videos that the idling is good to go. It's not. Or that the timing is good to go. It's not. I have problems still. It's hard to start, but I'll get that worked out eventually. Nevertheless, the engine's going to go in the car pretty soon. The name Betty Rumble, that came out of my daughter. My daughter initially called the car Betty Beetle Bug, and it was cute. We liked the Beetle name, or we liked the Betty name, but not so much the Beetle Bug. That just wasn't sticking very well. So I really didn't know what to do with it until one day before the engine broke. I had a hard time starting the car, and it was just in my head, I was just thinking, man, this thing just rumbles when you try to start it. And then when I looked back at the car and saw how similar the blue was to Betty Rubble's dress in the Flintstones cartoon, Betty Rumble just sort of stuck, and that's how it went. So got a stylized logo in a pinup fashion going with some folks that contributed to helping me make that decision, which was very valuable to me. And Betty Rumble came to be, and that's what she's known as throughout the length and breadth of the land. I've registered her in a couple of shows, and that was the name I put down, was Betty Rumble. So that's where we're at. So what do I hope to gain from the channel? Absolutely nothing. I don't want any financial support. I don't want anyone sending me any cash. I don't want any money at all. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing it just to sort of show some folks that I know, some co-workers and long-distance associates, what's going on with the car, because I talk so much about it and so much a part of my life. I wanted to be able to share that with some folks. And if you'll learn a little bit from watching these videos, great. Look, I'm not a VW guy. Like I said, I know nothing about them. So I'm learning as I go. And some things that may seem second nature to some of the VW purists out there and the experts who've been working on these cars for 40 years may not seem obvious to me. But I look for their help from time to time in forums and chat groups and so on. I try to get information. I try to learn as much as I can about the car. But generally speaking, I don't know anything about these, and I've had to work to get the knowledge that I have right now. And so far, it's coming together rather well. I mean, hell, the engine starts. So there you go. And I'm an age guy, so there's no way I wasn't going to be able to figure this stuff out. But we really don't focus too much on carburetors and timing systems like these engines have when we were in tech school. Nevertheless, the engine is running. And the other reason why I was doing this is because if I have something to share, I want to just get it out there quickly. Short videos, 2 to 3 minutes tops. Here's what we're talking about. I know this video is running up into 8 minutes right now, but no other video that I make should run that long. I don't like the videos that have 5 minutes of what the mechanic's talking about in his life, what some of the things he's got coming on down the line, some other things you can look forward to, like, smash, and subscribe. I don't care if anyone subscribes to this, really. It's just to share some information with some folks and for me to put these out there. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's cool too. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you can provide me some advice in the comments. You know, don't be sarcastic or be an asshole about it, but at least just say, hey, man, you know what? You might want to think about this next time, or I've tried this and this was successful. Yeah, I'm open to those types of suggestions. It's an antique. I want to keep it on the road, and I'm absolutely in the mode to soak up as much information as I can get in order to maintain this thing going. But the thing I detest is those videos that just run too long with 5 minutes of BS at the beginning. I don't need it, and none of my videos are going to be like that. Whatever the title says is what the video is going to be about. What's with the rags and the mess of the rag and an engine change? Bang. 2 minutes of talking about why you do engine oil changes frequently in an engine rebuild. There you go. That type of thing is what I hope to achieve, is sharing information as quickly as possible and documenting what's going on with the car. I should have started this much sooner than I did, but nevertheless, we are getting on it now. And I plan to update this as frequently as I feel it is necessary. Maybe I'll do another video tomorrow. Maybe I won't. It might be a month or two before something goes by. If you want to subscribe and find out, fine. If not, that's cool. I can deal with it. But if you want to go ahead and check back every once in a while, that's also cool. I know I'm going to try to put the engine in this weekend. It'll probably start on Sunday. I got some things to do to it today, but it won't be much. One of which is to put the clutch back on and get all this other extra crap off of here, like the Zalex box and the gas tank and all this other stuff that I needed in order to start the car, get all that stuff removed and get it really prepped and ready to go back into the body. So that's it. That's what the Betty Rumble VW project is about. If you like the channel, fine, cool. I hope to hear from you. If not, that's cool too. No big deal. It's just going to be a good time for me anyway. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.